Yes, it's back by popular demand, and it's becoming a necessity. I have reopened the safe space. Yes, remember we used to have our daily safe space? I think we may have been ahead of the curve. I think we were picking up on some of what's going on in the world right now ahead of time. And we were practicing sheltering on the stream in our little corner of tranquility, our little corner of, I don't want to say normal because we're far from that, but it's definitely isolated from all of the insanity that is going on right now. Welcome back, everyone. I am Kev Baker, the man with the pencil arms, as somebody said in the chat room. And that's okay, because I'd rather have pencil arms than a pencil. Yeah, you see, you thought I'd go and spoil it right at the start, but no, big shout out to you. You made me laugh there, brother. You really, really did. And wait till I find the name there. I better give it credit. It was Longsight M12. Yes, thank you very much for making me giggle on what has been the most, how would I put it? Absurdly, hilariously ridiculous day. It's been absolutely brilliant. I'm smiling like a Cheshire cat. It's been a very productive day. We'll get into that later on the main show, I'm sure. Yes, let's just say that the world has gone that mad that yours truly got threatened with cancellation today. Can you believe it? We'll get into that later because I've got lots of ancient woo for us to chill out over and have our cup of coffee with. Yes, this is what we do now every day before the show. And we simulcast on a Thursday. And then we simulcast the Freaky Friday. And then we've got you. You've got me all to yourselves at the weekend. And we bring in extra guests at the weekend as well. We've got Scotty Lopez. We've got Bill. It's all going on here, right? And I'm really, really loving it here on KBS too. We're going to keep this very safe. We're going to isolate this little channel, this corner of the internet, away from the madness, away from the craziness. And there'll be no politics in here. No, there'll be no crazy, crazy rabbit holes. None of that. There'll be fun. There'll be woo. There might be tears of laughter along the way as well. But it's somewhere where we can just check out, leave all of that madness behind for an hour or so before we shift gears and get into the main KBS today. And I've got an absolute, as Joe Joseph would put it, a smorgasbord of funny woo, not funny woo, funny news involving me. Some of the funniness going on right now, shall we call it. And then we're going to go into some real cool woo, and we're going to open up the phones for all of you. And I was hoping to tell you that I had just successfully uploaded my first video over to Library, or LBRY, whatever you call it. But we had a snag uploading, so I'm in mid-conversation with the people on Discord who run that website. And yes, I will be uploading some of my NSFYT content over there. Work it out for yourself. But then I see Karen in there. I sent Karen out an alert to the show. And if anyone else wants to be included or needs me to inform them that the show is coming up or a stream's coming up, let me know. I try my best to reach out to as many as I can. I know Billy Joe struggles to get it. I send it to Queen as well. And Karen, sometimes I see Karen, sometimes I don't, but it's the least I can do because she always gives us good links. And there's some real ancient good woo that I might have time to get to today on the main show that Karen provided on Facebook. But we've also got Just Be Happy in there. We have got Rose, who else? First Paranormal, who has been bitten to smithereens. Remember we were talking about all the little people and the woods that inspired J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Remember all of that? Well, Jason, being the intrepid little explorer that he is, he went out there. Lots of crazy cool photographs. And he was showing me that he's been bitten alive. That's the length he goes for you people that subscribe to his YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, please do. Even if it's just for me, even if you don't watch anything, just go and give the guy a sub, okay? He deserves it. He's putting in some really good work. He's going to be back on Freaky Friday on the Kev Baker show. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now, I've seen another dude slipping in there, Jordan. A big shout out to you, Jordan, and thank you for being here. And I think it was your other half that added me on Facebook. I think I added you at the same time. I rarely really check the Facebook, Jordan, so I don't know how long you were waiting for me to add you. I apologise if it was a while. But yeah, this is the best place to get me here. But thank you so much, brother, for supporting the show. ZX, always got to give him a shout out. Connie, have we done Rose? Doesn't matter. We'll do it again. We've got Little Glob as well. And Little Glob, are you the same Little Glob that's over on Twitter? Because if you are, then I'm going to be opening up the phones tonight. And I don't know where you are. Are you in the US? You can let us know in the chat, Little Glob. But Little Glob is a medium, if it is who I think it is. So I threw it out there on Twitter today. One of my more sensible tweets on Twitter today. And yeah, you never know. Might get a reading live on air sometime soon. Big shout out and a big hello to Billy Joe. You see, I can rhyme this stuff. It's good. We got Onslow in there. Trent's in there. Who else we got? One Polly. Gotta be careful not to miss anyone out. Jose Ramon Francis, Solitech, Ronald, Nothing As It Seems, John Nelson. I'm actually getting quicker at this. Plus, I kind of give you little tunes while I'm going as well. We were breaking into a little bit of Star Wars there. But who else we got? I think we're about through it. I think we're there. And Onslow was our first in the chat room today. He was the first to make his way single file, socially distanced into the safe space. But no, there's none of that madness in here. This is our little digital corner of tranquility. So, in recent times, we've been really taking a good look at the ancient world. Various civilizations, various continents, various mysterious artifacts and archaeology along the way. And it's something that I genuinely love to look into. Wasn't that much into history in school, surprisingly enough. It surprises me now when I look back at it. We got to choose history or geography. And the history, it had not caught my attention at all in high school. Absolutely not. It was horrendous. I would see that in my timetable and think, oh, goodness. Double period of that. Oh, don't even go there. But now, when I look back at that ancient world, I'm just left in wonder. I truly am. And, I give a big shout out here. I see Marty in there as well. I can't go on without shouting out Marty. Such a big supporter of the show. Thank you so much. But, yeah, and I have to give a shout out to Spooky Andy. Because how cool is it when you're just doing a stream about some of the mysteries, like the star holes we were talking about the other day. And then you've got a guy in a workshop with access to the tools to show you what machines and what it takes today to do something similar. And that then makes you ask, well, what did they use in the past? Now, I was speaking to Sid from Norway. And of course, we started on the star hole of Valdek. And Sid had never heard of that. Now, it turns out that one might be more modern. And that's fair enough. I absolutely accept that. I think we even covered that in the article. But it's when you look back at some of the more ancient ones, some of the more inexplicable ones, and then you have to think, well, if Andy was using like rubies and water that was at 80,000 psi and having to design it all on a computer, and wow, what a process. But thousands of years ago. And then there's things that you come across and really does show you. It doesn't hint. If you open your eyes and you open your mind, it's not hinting at anything. It absolutely proves that there was high technology, albeit different from the stuff that we maybe recognize as high technology today. Different, more natural ways of harnessing and achieving the same powers to get the same outcome, right? And there's also something else that really baffles me. Not baffles, that's the wrong word. Intrigues me about the ancient people. And I get it. And it's their fascination with the night sky. The stars, the planets, all without telescopes and things, and all displaying an uncanny knowledge of things that really makes you scratch your head and go, hmm. And when it comes to recording time and cycles, well, there's really only one civilization that springs to mind, right? And it's the Mayans. And we had that 2012 date that came and it went. And hey, trust me, I'd bought the ticket for 2012. I've still got the t-shirt in the bedroom. I don't know what I thought was going to happen that day, but I truly did think something miraculous, otherworldly. We would be left in no uncertain doubt that we'd moved into a new cycle, a new age. And before we go into tonight's stories, and we're going to look at the Mayan calendar, and we're also going to look at another ancient disc that's very mysterious. I want you to kind of think about that before we go anywhere. We say that the 2012 date, it came and went, and yeah, whatever. But now I ask you to look back or think back to pre-2012 and think of all of the things that have happened between 2012 and now, and then tell me the world didn't change in 2012. It's almost irrecognizable. It truly, truly is. You know, we've crammed in the whole season of false flaggery and ballbaggery, as I talk about. We had that Boston bad thing going off at the marathon, all of that jazz. You know, that feels like a long, long time ago, and it was, but we've crammed so much from then until now into that period of time. So maybe we did change. Maybe we're already still, or we're still going through the changes, right? And the changes are something that's going to be relevant with the Mayan story we've got here, and with the information I'm going to go into on the main show today on TFR Live. But to keep you hanging and keep you waiting, like they tell good content creators you should do, I'm not going to get to that bit first. No, I'm going to get to another mysterious disc. Now, this was one that I hadn't really heard of, and if I have, then it slips my mind. And I'm going to take you over here to talk about something called the strange mystery of the Phaistos Disc. You knew it was coming, right? You knew it was coming. I love my soundboard. Here we go. So, yes, we're dipping our toe into the mysterious universe today. No, not Nick Redfern. We're going on a Nick Redfern strike until he comes on the show. Do you think that's fair? I think it's fair. It's probably just in this day and age. If not, we'll cancel him, right? I'm only joking, Nick. But be careful out there. So it says that the ancient world sometimes seems to be almost something from an alien realm, full of unanswered questions and inscrutable ruins. We are often left without answers to what these people were up to, our view of the past obscured and hazy. And the ancients often left behind various enigmas that we struggle to understand and which seem to taunt us through the centuries. And one of these is a mysterious disc uncovered in Greece, which is full of strange cryptic symbols, and for which we have no answer. So in July 1908, an Italian archaeologist by the name of Luigi Pernier was doing an excavation at the old palace of Minoan Phaistos. Yeah, I think that's how you say that. Phaistos, that's it. A mysterious Bronze Age archaeological site dating from 1900 to 1700 BC on the south coast of the Greek island of Crete. Now there is the dank dark in an ancient basement of the palace he unearthed. Or there in the dank dark, I'll get it right, third time lucky, he unearthed a small clay disc that had lain down in the dark for untold centuries, which upon inspection would capture the imagination and turn out to be one of the most mysterious and hotly debated archaeological oddities ever uncovered in Greece. And when it comes to archaeological oddities, that's where we like to roam, right? This is the kind of woo we like to get into. Often let my coffee go cold during these streams, folks. So it's the coffee break. It's allowed, right? So measuring from 15.8 to 16.5 in diameter, and 1.6 to 2.1 centimeters in thickness, seemingly handmade from fired, baked clay, it is a truly curious little artifact. And when you think of that, 15 centimeters, I mean, a standard ruler, 30 centimeters, right? So you're talking about something diddly small. And it says, handmade from fired baked clay. A truly curious little artifact. I like that phrase. The disc holds etched upon both sides of it a spiral pattern of hands or hand-drawn lines, within which a total of 45 different strange symbols are set in groups, demarcated by vertical lines, for a total of 244 symbols in all. Each one apparently individually stamped into the clay before it was fired, and in some cases showing evidence of having been erased and restamped. Now, these symbols are largely pictographic in nature, featuring human figures, faces, animals such as fish, dolphins, or cattle. We've got boats and plants and trees, as well as the less discernible cryptic symbols. Now, in addition to these symbols, there are what appear to be hand-drawn dashes, slashes, and dotted bars throughout. Now, that definitely sounds like some kind of language or something, right? Some kind of code. Besides being an odd find, the thing about these various symbols is that, although they are all arranged as an obvious message, they represent no known language or writing system. At least, not any we know about yet. It resembles none of the forms of writing found in the Bronze Age Crete, called hieroglyphic, linear A and linear B. And archaeologists have no idea what they say or why they were arranged in spirals on this lone disc. Now, we're going to take a look at the disc, don't worry, but it says some things about what has come to be known as the Phaistos Disc are largely agreed upon. It is mostly accepted as probably being Cretan in origin, possibly a version of the Minoan language, and likely dates back to or from 1850 to 1550 BC. It is also mostly believed that because many of the symbols seem to be arranged to face the right towards the outer edge of the disc, it is thought that it should be read clockwise from the centre outwards. And on the outer edge of the disc is a clearly delineated straight line marked with 5 or 6 points that is agreed by most to be the intended starting point for reading it all. And this is pretty much where any agreement ends, in the disc, its origins, and the meaning of its enigmatic symbols have been discussed and debated ever since its discovery. Well, I think it's time to take a look at this little bad boy, and we'll go back and read what it says about it. But look at that. Now, in reality, we have got no clue what's going on there. They even admit there, the mysterious universe tells you that the experts, at the best, they agree on their guesses. You know? What was it that was tracking? 242 units? Not a year then. Or maybe, I don't know what they were trying to count. So I'll leave that for you to try and figure out while I go back over this. So it says, when trying to decipher the meaning of this oddity, there has been pointed out that the total number of different symbols are too few to represent a purely pictographic system of writing. That is, in which one image is one word, but too many to be an alphabet system, meaning it is probably what is called a syllabary. You get syllabary trying to speak like this. This means, or this would mean, that each different symbol represents a separate syllable of the language, and each of the groups of symbols would make up one word. However, if this is the case, it should be expected that there would be an even distribution of the symbols through the text. but there are wild imbalances between them on the disc, and also considering that the symbols are grouped in mostly groups of 3 to 7. It seems strange that the language would be so syllable heavy. Now, this has led to another idea, which is that the mysterious writing system could be some combination of pictographs and syllabaries, but no one really knows for sure. And that's what makes it pretty interesting if you ask me. But it says, as to the significance of the disc, theories have varied considerably. Ideas that it is a prayer, hymn, or a religious chant, sacred text, magic inscription, a spell or a curse, a simple letter, ritual, game, funerary record, almanac, court list, political treaty, a geometric theorem, list of soldiers, or even a nursery rhyme or musical notes. Now, as you can see, no one really has a clue, and it could be anything. One idea that has been floated around is that the disc is not real at all, but rather a more modern forgery and hoax. It was for a while a subject of some debate, only fueled by the Greek Ministry of Culture, their refusal to let anyone test it because they deem it to be a national treasure that would be damaged if it were to be analysed. And if it were a forgery, then the main culprit is seen as probably being Luigi Pernier. In order to make a name for himself and step out of the shadows of the more famous archaeologists also working in Crete at that time. Yeah, imagine trying to make a living back in the day when like the Greek philosophers and all these brain boxes were just chilling out, eating grapes and coming up with cool things to say and philosophizing and looking at stars and, it would have been hard to get your leg up, get a go in that society. Some things have never changed, eh? So it says, after all, what better way to get the field's attention than a mysterious disc with some inscrutable ancient language that no one had ever seen before. However, it is common for governments to refuse to have artifacts tested out of fear of damaging them.
Smiley face. Smiley face. Smiley face. Smiley face.
Lance, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. But I have to ask you, did you just want to hear Brian saying smiley face, or was it really to support the show? Either way, it's brilliant, brother. I love you so much. And let's get back into this. We'll finish this one up. Where has my chat room gone? There it is there. Well, it's not my chat room. It's YouTube's chat room, but we kind of loan it out for the safe space, right? But it says, however, it is common for governments. Yep, we got that. I would imagine they're probably scared of people like handing back a forgery, and like it says, damage. Remember we had the Epic of Gilgamesh, that fragment of one of the tablets. There was a bit of shenanigans going on. A Knight of the Museum meets the Bourne identity, going in, rescuing this piece of old tablet and taking it back to Iraq. That's what you really believe. But it says here, and the majority of archaeologists, both in Greece and beyond, are of the general consensus that it is authentic. What it actually is and what it signifies is another story altogether. And one of the most frustrating things is, since the symbols came from individual stamps, someone spent the time to make the actual die for each symbol, yet none of these die have ever been found. It would also imply that these discs were meant to be mass-produced, yet, as of yet, none have ever been found. And this is a problem, because without other similar examples of this mystery writing, or a Rosetta Stone type finding, there is simply not enough context to derive any meaning from it. There have been numerous claims over the years that the disc has been solved and translated, but these are unconfirmed, with little chance of a concrete confirmation in the absence of a comparison to other inscriptions. And the fact is, despite the various claims of decoding the mysterious writing, it remains a perplexing, unsolved mystery. So yeah, and listen, it's not impossible that they will turn up some other Rosetta Stone type artifact. It's not impossible. You're only ever one dig away from some new major finding, right? We haven't searched everywhere. In fact, we've hardly scraped the surface of anywhere when you think about the total landmass of the Earth. And you take into account the ocean floor as well. There's some places of this planet we won't be able to do any kind of archaeology or looking back in time, but get this, because I would imagine that if we could get down to those very depths and things, you know, who knows what this ancient world was once like? You know, mountains rise, tsunamis come, oceans rise. What was hills become into the ocean, eventually maybe become the ocean floor, slips under a tectonic plate. The world is irrecognizable probably from what it was every couple of thousand years. Because of just Earth changes and that cyclical cataclysm that they say comes along every so often. We had our good friend Kevin Nasey on the show, and he is a long-time researcher into Nibiru stroke wormwood. We were talking about wormwood the other night with Bill Bean on the show, and talk of wormwood and Planet X and Nibiru and Anunnaki, in my mind, from my memory on the timeline I come from, and trust me, timelines are changing right now, but when it comes to all of those topics, 2012 was when it really reached fever pitch, right? But what if that was just the start of the changes? What if that was, say, just the start of 7, 8, 9, 10 years of transition from where we were to where we're going? And if that was the case hypothetically, then perhaps the closer we get to that coming through the other side phase, that emerging into the new space, new world, new cycle, you know, maybe that's when it gets the most turbulent. Maybe that's why if you look out in the world right now, things are looking a bit crazy, right? What if I was to tell you that maybe the Mayan date, and I've always said it, 2012 was a date that came from our interpretation, trying to use a Gregorian calendar to match up to something that, because of their history being wiped out and all of the information that they had amassed in their time, all of that knowledge was, you know, removed at the time when those Spaniards went over there. We've got no idea what that calendar says, what that cycle says. We can't truly interpret it the way we can't interpret the Phaistos one. I remembered it, the Greek one, right? And what if it was hinting at a 2012 date? It's not me saying it. I'm going to show you in a moment what I'm talking about. But I'm going to get a drink of coffee. I'm going to leave you pondering that. I'm having fun today. It's safe in here. If you see any of the crazies out there coming in, just swat them away, get them out. Don't let any of that infect us. No mind virus in here, folks. It's nice and safe. Ah. Do you know I got called a snowflake today? Imagine it.
Puff puff pass all you cool people. Let's all have a great time together. Brown chicken, brown cow. Smoke mafia gotum. Woo.
Brown chickens, brown cows, white flamingos, pink tigers, polka dot humans, all of it. It all matters. Thank you so much, Justa. Top notch, man, top notch. Yep, very, very safe in here. Hope you're all having fun. That's what it's all about in the end of the day, right? Somewhere to come, chill out. That's what we're all about here. That's what I like about this place. It's my little corner of sanity. It really is. And don't worry about it. All that stuff will be waiting for you when we get done looking at the Mayan calendar end date being wrong. We are. Half the show comes from him. A third comes from Dave Baker, and the rest, nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. Not even me, the snowflake that I am. Can you believe it? Dang, that really triggered me. But anyway, the Mayan calendar may show 2020 as the end of the world, not 2012. Opening your curtains and looking out into the real world can probably tell you that, man. I'm only joking. Only joking. You know what was supposed to happen in 2012? Yes. The end of the world. 2020 suddenly makes more sense. Well, anyone that had told you it was the end of the world, I'd always looked at it as the end of one cycle. And as one cycle finishes, in that instant, the new one begins. It's tomatoes, I get it. So are you looking for some good news? Well, you've come to the wrong place, bucko. Oh no, this is good news central in here, let me tell you. I can make this bad news sound good, okay? So then, that comment was made in response to a recent tweet by a scientist who makes this observation. This comes from Paulo Pagolugan, or yeah, that'll do it. Paulo. Following the Julian calendar, we are technically in 2012. The number of days lost in a year due to the shift into the Gregorian calendar is 11 days. And for 268 years using the Gregorian calendar from 1752 to 2020, you know what? I didn't actually think it was as recent as that. You're probably thinking, it's not recent, it's like 250 odd years ago. You know what I mean though? Don't get picky. Times 11 days, which is 2,948 days. Or 2,948 days. And divided by 365 days per year. What about leap years? Just saying. Equals 8 years. So a number of media outlets, doesn't surprise me, starting with the Daily Express, did the math and came to the same conclusion that this difference in the calendars must also apply then to the Mayan calendar, more properly known as the Mesoamerica long count calendar. So there, Daily Express, which had an end date of December 21st, 2012. Now, many people were concerned, to put it mildly. Yep, I was one of them. That the world would end, no, not that bad, on that date, and relieved, puzzled when it didn't. Some people, I can tell you, they're still puzzled. Bok. What happened? Well, many scholars suggested the prediction was based on a misinterpretation of the calendar, and its ending did not mean the end of the world or to creation, but merely a start of a new cycle of humanity, something which Mayan lore says had happened before with no dire consequences. However, this 8-year difference thing seems to throw the Mayan end of the world smack dab into 2020. Even those living in caves are aware of the Andromeda strain and the economic and political turmoil engulfing the world these days. Could this be the real reason for the chaos of 2020? What chaos? It's been a pussycat of a year so far. Perhaps we should ask Paulo Paulo, whose tweet started all of this. Is he a Mayan expert? A calendar researcher? A doomsday predictor? Well, no, actually, he's a plant biologist and Fulbright scholar, currently working with the University of Tennessee, and I don't think, it really matters where somebody's field of expertise really lies. He explained how he got to the date. It's no biggie. And that tweet was just one of many ruminations on many subjects this intelligent and athletic young scientist has made on Twitter. What he may not have been aware of, he's a plant biologist, not a Mayan scholar, is that Mayan scholars have long used the proleptic Gregorian calendar, which calculates dates backwards from its official acceptance in 1582, to determine corresponding dates on the Mayan calendar. However, they also used the proleptic Julian calendar for dates before it began in 8 CE, and took into account the discrepancies caused by the changes between them. In 1752, now finally the units of the Mayan calendar, 20 days made a unal and 18 unals are 360 days made a tun, and 20 tuns made a katun, and 20 katuns made up a baktun. You can tell I was really into 2012, right? Are based on the best estimates from interpretations of Mayan writings. Now, the belief that the Mayan calendar predicted the end of the world in December 21st, 2012, began in 1957 with a statement by Mayanist and astronomer Maud Worcester. And it says, Maud Worcester Mackinson, what a name, who said this: the completion of a great period of 13 baktuns would have been the utmost significance to the Maya, and accelerated in 1966 when Mayan or Mayanist archaeologist Michael D. Coe said Armageddon would overtake the degenerate peoples of the world and all creation on the final day of the 13th Baktun. Thus, our present universe would be annihilated when the great cycle of the long count reaches its completion. Still here, dude. Both of these are interpretation based on estimates, but that didn't prevent them from getting picked up by many searching for an apocalypse. Any apocalypse. And Paulo, just Paulo, doesn't seem to be one of them. He's just a scientist killing time during the Andromeda hoo-ha shutdown, posting calculations and thoughts. And the fact that this tweet generated so much media attention is perhaps a much better predictor of how close we are to an apocalypse than the Julian Gregorian Mayan flap. Yes, indeedy, folks. Listen, I can't tell you what the Mayan calendar was absolutely saying. I don't know what blooming date it was really pointing at. But you got to admit, between 2012 and now, things have got a little bit weird. Things have got very woke. And it's getting a little bit crazy out there. That's all I'm saying. And if I compare 2012, what was happening then, to what is happening now, and somebody said, so put your money on which one's going to be the big one, I'd probably go with 2020. But what you think is up to you, because in the end of the day, all I can hope for is to go out there, find some stuff to talk about, provide you with the information, and then let you decide for yourself what it's all about. I provide, you decide, and I will. Oh, and that was pretty cool. You need to do that. You like that, aye? There's almost a stereo thing going on there. That's pretty epic. Probably nobody at home heard it because of the gate, but it sounded good in my ear. Or I'll get the shoe. But anyway, I will be back on the main show in 20 minutes, okay? I just wanted to come and hang out with all you great people today. You're really good to me. You really support what not only I'm doing here on the channel, but Anne, the wee man, me as well. And I hope you know just how much we appreciate that here and I'll be back on the main show on tfrlive.com /chat to get into the chat room. I think they're still working on the YouTube link. Please be patient, we'll get that sorted. But if you're in Discord, I usually open up a room in there, and you can listen to me until your heart is content, if that's really what you're into. But I'll be talking about some really funny stuff, and like I say, we're going to look on the funny side of me almost falling victim to the crazy cancel culture. Maybe by the end of the week they'll get me. But as I tried to point out, there ain't no clout in cancelling somebody who barely gets 100 people into their stream. But that's how desperate it's getting out there. It's cray-cray, but not here on the KBS 2 pre-show stream. And yes, I'll be back in, 19 minutes. I will entertain you. I will infotain you. I'll make you laugh. And then we'll get into the woo before I hand it off to all of you. And before we go, you know what's coming. You like it, Anne? You like it? It's really good, isn't it?
How dare you?
Greta's telling me, and keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo. Not cheesy, Anne. To the point where your brain turns to black goo. It's not cheesy. It's not cheesy, Anne. Okay, a little cheesy. Big bit cheesy. Mozzarella cheesy. See, Anne, I told you I'm good at this. I told you I'm good at that. Oh, look. Oh, look, we're still on air. Oh, what a mistake I made. Of course I am. Oh, poor Anne. I can wind her up so easy. Folks, catch you in 18 minutes. Be there, be square, and I want a note. I want a note from your parents saying turning up today. It's going to be a good one. You want to be there or be square.